Did the devil create the earth? That is what we are talking about today as we dive into secret knowledge that was possessed by, and this was banned by the church, this secret knowledge, and it was possessed by a group of heretics known as the Carpocratians. And we've been exploring them. Last week we were exploring their beliefs and their belief that you could become more powerful than Jesus Christ. Now today we're taking a look at their beliefs in the world as it is, how it was created, and answering the question, is the devil the creator of Earth? And if so, is there a way to escape? And we're going to see that they believe that there was a way to escape the Earth. And this was, like I said, a sect of Christianity that was really trying to take over Christianity. They wanted to replace what would become modern Christianity with their version of Christianity that, instead of being based on faith and subservience, was instead based on knowledge, wisdom, knowing thyself, philosophy, understanding the true nature of reality, and so much more. And that entails this idea of the earth not being created by God, but being created by a different kind of being altogether. And the fact that this earth is a place that one must transcend from. And that's what we're going to get into today. And what we're going to be doing is really, like I said, last week we were talking about the Carpocratians as well, and their belief that you can become more powerful than Jesus Christ. And if you didn't see that, that's fine. I recommend watching it because it's good and extremely interesting, but you don't need to have seen that to have understood this video. But I'll put all these videos in a playlist at the end of this video. And by the way, if you're new to this channel and you haven't liked the video or subscribed yet, please do hit the like and subscribe button. My channel is all about bringing this knowledge to the world and helping raise the consciousness of humanity. And there's a lot of people that don't want this info out there, the things that I talk about. And so help us spread this information. Hit the like button. And also, if you ever learned something or gotten something from my videos, consider supporting on Patreon. The link will pop up over here in a minute. You get access to our weekly secret live streams. This week we're talking about, is the multiverse a gateway drug? That's to this coming up secret live stream. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to open up this book called Adversus Heresies, which is Against Heresies, written by Saint Irenaeus. And Saint Irenaeus was a heretic hunter, part of the very early Christianity. And as we do this, so let me bring this up, because what we're going to be doing is taking a look at Adversus Heresies itself, and also another book here called Fragments of Forgotten Faith, and that examines it. And we're going to take a look at these two texts as we get into it. Now, just as a reminder, okay, from what we talked about last week, they believe in reincarnation. They believe that the soul is eternally incarnating, but that it's trapped in a cycle of incarnations, and that this world is actually a kind of hell, a kind of prison. We're going to get into that more, that can be transcended. And they believed that Jesus Christ wasn't God, but that Jesus Christ was rather a figure, just a human being, but a human being who remembered the true realm, the true reality. You can kind of think of Jesus in the Gnostic version. Jesus is kind of like Neo from the Matrix, who remembers the real world and is trying to break everyone out, but that doesn't have superpowers. Jesus wasn't raising people from the dead and drinking water from wine and all that. He was a human being that was a teacher that wanted people to learn that they could become like him, and even more than him, if they put in the work and put in the effort, and could transcend the material world. So that's where we kind of left off last time. Now, I want to mention this about the Carpocratians, because if we took a look at Clement of Alexandria, so Clement of Alexandria writes about Carpocrates. And the reason why I want to bring this up is because it's sort of a very interesting origin story, where Clement of Alexandria talks about the leader of the Carpocratians, Carpocrates, who enslaved the mind of a priest and got from him a secret gospel, which is really interesting. And according to Clement of Alexandria, this is where the teachings of the Carpocratians come from. But it's much more than that. But that was likely played a part. But let me read to you this quote here. From Clement of Alexandria. It says, "But since foul demons are always devising destruction for the race of men. Carpocrates, instructed by them and using deceitful arts, so enslaved a certain presbyter of the church. So basically enslaved a priest in Alexandria, that he got from him a secret gospel, which he both interpreted according to his blasphemous and carnal doctrine, and moreover polluted it, mixing with the spotless and holy words utterly shameless lies. From this mixture is drawn off the teaching of the Carpocratians. Very dramatic. And so Clement of Alexandria is saying the demons devised the destruction of humanity, and so Carpocrates, instructed by demons, enslaved the mind of a priest in Alexandria and got from him a secret gospel. And in this secret gospel, Carpocrates started mixing in lies and deceit and his own teachings and transforming it. And so this is what Clement of Alexandria is describing. It's so evil. It reminds me of like Lord of the Rings, and he's making Carpocrates out to be Sauron, the foul demons devising destruction for the race of men. Carpocrates and his, mixing his lies in the spotless holy book. But what was really happening here? You have to remember that we get writings from people who, what we know about the Carpocratians come from people that hate them. So it's very biased. So what likely happened is that, so we know that Carpocrates was a philosopher. He wasn't like this evil, satanic magician that he's made out to be in these different books that we understand. He was a philosopher. He was a Greek philosopher. And what likely happened was he didn't use demons to enslave the mind of a priest. He probably just convinced him using reason. He probably was like, hey, look, this is what I believe. Don't you think it makes a lot more sense than this crazy faith stuff? And the priest was probably like, hey, you know what? You're right. Hey, take a look at these books we have. That's probably something along the lines what happened. He certainly wasn't like enslaving the mind of the priest and creating the one ring in his dungeon, nothing like that. But let's so we have here now, we're going to go to Adversus Heresies, Against Heresies by Saint Irenaeus. And Irenaeus is again a leader of the church. And so talking about the Carpocratians, and they're really painting them to be extremely evil. And we're going to get into, did the devil create the earth? But it's important to understand all this first. Before we, really look into if the devil created the earth, we want to see why and how what would become, what was the foundation of the modern church, hated them, wanted their knowledge destroyed, banned their knowledge, considered them heretics, eventually killing anyone that would be in possession of the books, banning them, and not wanting anyone to understand this knowledge. And so we really want to see how they painted them and how badly they made them look, because they didn't want anyone believing this sort of thing. So it says, but just to kind of preface this, when we look at the state of the world that it's in right now, if you look at the state of the world, with all the atrocities going on right now, look at the news and you will see absolute horrifying violation of human rights. And guess what? Even if this is a replay and you're watching this 10 years later, let's say, that's still going to apply. Look at all the crazy stuff that's going on. So when you look at the earth, you want to ask yourself, is it closer to heaven or is it closer to hell? And if the devil is the creator of the earth, could the earth actually be hell? So we'll answer that. We'll see what's said about that. So we read this last week, but I just want to do it again real quick for a refresher and for anyone that might be new. So talking about the Carpocratians, Saint Irenaeus writes, they practice magical arts and incantation, filters, love potions, and have recourse to familiar spirits, dream-sending demons, and other abominations, declaring that they possess the power to rule over the princes and formers of this world, and not only them, but everything in it. These men have been sent forth by Satan to bring dishonor upon the church, so that in one way or another, men hearing the things which they speak and imagining that we all are such as they may turn away from their ears from the preaching of the truth. They lead a licentious life and so conceal their impious doctrines. So they're talking about it's really a smear campaign to just say these people were sent by the devil. They're sent by Satan. They talk to demons. Don't listen to them. They're terrible people. And so St. Irenaeus continues, so unbridled is their madness that they declare that they have in their power all things which are irreligious and impious, and are at liberty to practice them, for they maintain that things are evil or good simply by virtue of human opinion. So what is he saying here? He's saying, these people are so crazy that they declare that they have in their power all things which are irreligious and impious. Basically, they are able, they do things that are against religion and are sinful. That's what he's saying. So crazy, they're so crazy that they say that they can commit sins and do that which is irreligious. And why does Saint Irenaeus say that they claim this? He says, because they believe that things are evil or good only by human opinion. That is, things are right or wrong, that things are right or wrong by what humans declare to be right or wrong, rather than by divine decree or moral absolutism or a list of commandments like the 10 Commandments. So what the Carpocratians believed was that right and wrong and laws and what's right and what isn't are human constructs. And you can really see, even reading from this, how the Carpocratians were philosophers, and they were rejecting moral absolutism. And Saint Irenaeus doesn't understand philosophy and is instead, what they're doing is practicing things like, philosophy, libertinism, experiencing life. And Saint Irenaeus is interpreting that as them being demonic and satanic and being sent forth by demons and everything like that. And you can really understand how we're in the same boat right now. You look at the modern day church and how everything they think is evil and satanic. It's like, no, that's not evil and satanic. That's just science or something, it's not satanic. So this is important in understanding what we're going to get to on the devil and earth. But if we turn real quick to Fragments of a Faith Forgotten, so it says, and so Fragments of a Faith Forgotten is an individual who's talking about what Carpocrates wrote. So it says the next paragraph, which is the one we just read, deals with the doctrine that there's no essential evil in the universe, but things that are bad and good are in man's opinion only. Let us therefore see how Irenaeus, from his summary of their doctrine of rebirth, arrives at this generalization. So arrives at this generalization regarding their doctrine of rebirth. Basically, reincarnation. Why is this important? What does this have to do anything? This has to do with their belief in reincarnation, because they were really about not about modern day Christianity is about resurrection, obsession with resurrection. People are going to be resurrected and are going to return to heaven, and Jesus Christ was born and rose from the dead. The Carpocratians don't believe that. They believe in reincarnation. And this is really important for the idea of the devil being the creator of earth, because they're going to believe that there is the devil will be trapping souls. And that's important for reincarnation, because this soul can be trapped and caught in a cycle of reincarnation. And you can see some similarities to Buddhism there, in where Buddhism is about trying to break the cycle of incarnations. That's what, and transcend and reach nirvana. So the Carpocratians were trying to break the cycle of incarnations, where they believed that Satan was the one that kept them bound to the cycle of incarnations. And they're going to explain exactly how they intend to break this cycle of incarnations. And St. Irenaeus gets into that right here. It says, they deem it necessary that by means of transmigration from body to body. So transmigration is another name for reincarnation. So by means of reincarnation from body to body, souls should have experience of every kind, as well as every kind of action, unless indeed by a single incarnation one may be able to prevent any need for others, by once for all and with equal completeness doing all those things which we dare not either speak or hear of, nay, which we must not even conceive in our thoughts, nor think credible, if any such thing is mooted among those persons who are fellow citizens, in order that, as their writings express it, their souls, having made trial of every kind, may at their departure not be wanting in any particular. So, hold on. It is necessary to insist upon this, lest on account of some one thing being still wanting in their deliverance, they should be compelled once more to become incarnate. So let's break all this down for a moment. So what are they saying? St. Irenaeus is saying that the Carpocratians believe that souls reincarnate from body to body. And to be able to stop this cycle of incarnation, what the Carpocratians believe is that they need, and by the way, a lot of this information is in the banned Gnostic books that were discovered in the Nag Hammadi library, like the Secret Gospel of John and the Apocalypse of Adam, and all these different books that were banned from the Bible. I have playlists on all these. I highly recommend taking a look at the Secret Book of John. That's a great one to start off with. Check out that playlist. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene is a really good one that talks about escaping the material realm and the different demons that are encountered, but these demons represent different parts of the self that must be conquered. So it's like your internal demons that must be conquered to transcend. Really good. Highly recommend checking that out. But I digress. What we're talking about here is, so the Carpocratians are saying that humans are trapped in this, and we're going to talk about how the devil and the creation of earth and how that relates to the souls being trapped. But first, Irenaeus is writing how they deem it necessary to stop this cycle of reincarnation, that souls should have experience of every kind of life as well as every action. So, according to St. Irenaeus, the Carpocratians are saying that when one is incarnated, the goal is to experience everything that life has to offer and to do every action. And I'll explain why in a minute. So they believe that after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, that souls in all their lives should have every kind of experience and do every action. It says, but unless indeed by a single incarnation, one may be able to need to prevent from others by once and for all with equal completeness, doing those things which we dare not either speak of, hear of, or conceive in our thoughts. So he's saying that, but they believe that they don't have to go through lifetime after lifetime after lifetime if they do it all in one lifetime. So if in one lifetime they accomplish all the necessary experiences and all the necessary actions that they need to do, they don't need to have more and more incarnations. If they really focus on it, they can get it done all in one lifetime, is what St. Irenaeus is saying. Now, St. Irenaeus is saying that that's why they need to do like terrible things, evil things, things that we not even dare speak of. Now, really, like, are they going around murdering people and stuff like that? Probably not. That's probably just religious propaganda to make them seem evil. When it says that they're trying to do every kind of experience, and so they're out there doing everything like murdering babies or whatever, that's probably not the case. Remember, these were philosophers. They highly valued intelligence. They highly valued equality. We're going to talk about Marcellina later, who was a very powerful figure of theirs that moved to Rome and tried to create a new version of Christianity in Rome and her own sect called the Marcellians. So they were very pro-equality, regardless of gender. They were pro-libertinism. They were very intelligent and trying to create a society of social egalitarianism where people are equal. So it's very unlikely that they were running around, murdering babies or whatever. It's that Saint Irenaeus was trying to create this fear around them, or they're just a general misunderstanding. So rather than saying like, you need to do absolutely everything, they were smart people. They weren't going to say you need to go murder and steal and cheat and whatever. They were likely saying, because we'll see this in a second, like why do we need to do this? What they were likely saying is that you need to have experiences, and you need to have meaningful life experiences. You can't live your life by all these strict rules and regulations, like they were for sexual liberation, for example, and it's very strict in the church, sex, and so that's one of the things that they're basically saying. Oh, well, you should be able to experience that. You need to have meaningful experiences in life. Life is not about following a set of rights and wrongs and praising a God and worshiping a God, but it's about knowledge, knowing yourself, and having meaningful experiences. And that is exactly right. What is life really about? It's about knowledge and understanding of what you are, where you are, and why you are here. And having meaningful experiences and enjoying the journey of life. That's what life is about. And they were spot on in that regard. Now, so it says that, it continues that, so St. Irenaeus is explaining why they do this, where it says, in order that their souls, having done every kind of life, may, at their departure, after dying and not being wanting in any particular, what he's saying is the reason why they do this is because when the body perishes, when the soul is getting ready to incarnate into another body, it won't, because it will have been satisfied. It will have done everything and had the experiences it needed in the material world, so it won't be drawn to it. So their idea is, imagine that you're just starving, right? You're so hungry, and you walk by a restaurant, and let's say the food is free and it's the best food or whatever. Well, you're going to go in that restaurant and you're going to eat some food. And they're kind of comparing that to the cycle of incarnations, that the soul is going to keep coming back because there are experiences that it wants to have. And what they're saying is if you have those experiences, you won't be pulled back to the material world. So that would be kind of like, imagine that you go to a restaurant and it's a buffet, and you eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat, and you eat so much that you are just sick. Well, now if you go outside the restaurant and you pass another restaurant, are you going to want to go in that restaurant? No, you're just like, I've had enough food. I want to go do something else. They're sort of saying that the Carpocratians are saying that's what the cycle of incarnations are like. That life is about having meaningful experiences, and if you have them, you're not going to be drawn back to the material world. And I just want to see if there's okay, we don't need to read that part from, it's just saying what we already talked about. So Saint Irenaeus continues, they affirm for this reason Jesus spoke the following parable. So he's going to read a parable that the Carpocratians say that Jesus said. So according to them, Jesus says, while you are with your adversary in the way, give all diligence that you may be delivered from him, lest he give you up to the judge, and the judge surrender you to the officer, and he cast you into prison. Verily I say unto you, you shall not go out thence until you pay the very last farthing. So it's just a parable about paying farthing and being returned to jail. So they're kind of equating this reality as being a jail. Now, this is important where it comes to their beliefs. So the Carpocrateans, now it's debated whether the Carpocrateans were actually Gnostics or not, in the true sense of what a Gnostic is. But to me, it seems, I don't really understand why there's this big debate, because they seem very clearly Gnostic to me in their beliefs. They certainly had their own beliefs, but they seem like a particular form of Gnosticism. Anyway, so with Gnosticism, we know that they view reality as a prison, or at least the world as a prison. They view the earth as hell. And so that's at least the Gnostic interpretation of it. And this is where we're going to get into the devil and the creation of the world. It says, they interpret these expressions, "you shall not go out until you pay the very last farthing," as meaning that no one can escape from the power of those angels who made the world, but that he must pass from body to body until he has experienced every kind of action which can be done in the world. And when he doesn't want anything anymore, then his liberated soul will soar upwards to the God who is above the angels, which are the makers of this world. In this way, all souls are saved, whether their own, which, guarding against all delay, participates in all sorts of actions during one incarnation, or those again who, by passing from body to body, are set free on fulfilling and accomplishing what is requisite in every form of life into which they are sent, so that at length they shall no longer be shut up in the body. All right, let's break this down real quick. So first of all, they're saying the angels who are the creators of the world. We're going to get into that in a second, because there is a head angel. Now, these angels are actually what would be, in modern day Christianity, be interpreted as demons. So they're known as archons, or the rulers. So they view these archons or rulers as those who have created this world as a prison. And not only is the world a prison, but the body is a prison as well. And hold on. I skipped a very important passage. I was like, wait, I feel like something's missing here. Yes. Let's go back for just a second, because this is important, talking about the head archon. So they declare that the adversary is one of those angels who are in the world, whom they call the devil, maintaining that he was formed for this purpose, that he might lead those souls which have perished from the world to the supreme ruler. They describe him also as being chief among the makers of the world, and maintain that he delivered such souls as have been mentioned to another angel, who ministers to him that he may shut them up in other bodies, for they declare that the body is a prison. So what they're saying here is that the adversary, whom they call the devil, was formed for the purpose of basically trapping souls, and that he was the chief among the makers of this world. So basically, they believe that the devil, that basically there was a team of evil beings that made this world, and that the devil was the head of them, the ruler of these makers of the world. So it's like the devil and his demons, or the devil and his angels, were the creators of this world, and the world as a prison. And that what he does is that he takes souls to another angel or demon that who serves the devil, that shuts them up in other bodies, so reincarnates them, for they declare that the body is the prison. So what the Carpocrateans believe is that the creator of the world is not God, that the creator of the world is the devil, that the creator of the world is Satan, and that the devil and Satan and his angels created this world. And not only is the devil the creator of this world, but what he does is when people die and their souls ascend, he takes their souls and leads their souls to one of his servants who takes that soul and traps it in another body in the world, in the prison. And that is what the Carpocrateans believe in their narrative of, and you can see that they use a Christian narrative, but it's the complete opposite of what Christianity talks about. It's, instead of the God of the Bible being the God of the Bible, a good being, it's the devil, and the earth is a prison. And reincarnation occurs, and one must be able to transcend this. And what their idea is that there is a higher God above the devil, or who in Christianity interprets as the God of the Bible. There is a true God, and this one God, true God, known as the monad, or the one, or the great invisible spirit, is an eternal mind, a divine mind, and exists as the realm of the pleroma, or divine light. And that each and every one of us, at least according to Gnosticism in general, our souls are fragments of that divine mind and divine light. And that the devil, the creator of this world, created this world and trapped us in it. Because, again, according to traditional Gnosticism, check out my book, my playlist called The Secret Book of John. For all this, I'm going to gloss over it real quick, but for in detail, check that out. The Secret Book of John, the whole playlist. And so the devil wanted to trap souls in matter to power his creation, his material creation, to create slaves, and to keep trapping these souls in cycles of incarnations, and to keep them from remembering what they truly are. That's why the Carpocrateans said that Jesus was just a person, but remembered what he was, remembered the realm of divine light, and wanted to teach others to be able, so that they would remember too. And so we are actually more powerful than the God of this world if we can escape material reality and remember that we are a piece of the one. We are God. We are a fragment of God, a shard of God, and more powerful. And the devil wants to keep us trapped in here. So if we look at the idea of Gnosticism as what's at stake, because it's wrapped up in this Christian narrative, but basically, so the Gnostic narrative in general is that reality is a divine mind. It's a mind, and from this divine mind was born the devil, who created a material realm and trapped souls in it. What essentially that is saying is that what reality actually is not a material reality. It's a reality of mind. And we are all eternal divine beings. And this world is not a material reality, but a dream reality. And that once we understand what we are, we can transcend that dream reality and return to the realm of divine light. Now, another important part is that St. Irenaeus says that according to the Carpocrateans, all souls are saved. Meaning all souls eventually transcend the material world and return to the realm of divine light. Now that's in stark contrast to what would become Christian orthodoxy, where if you don't obey all these rules and regulations, you're going to go to hell. You're not saved. You're damned unless you worship Jesus Christ and follow the commandments, etc. So stark contrast to mainstream Christianity, the Carpocrateans are saying, hey, everyone will be saved. All souls will be saved when they have meaningful experiences of life, experience what they need, and have knowledge and realize what they are. And then they will return to the realm of divine light. All souls. When all souls eventually will have the experiences they need in this life and gather the knowledge to be able to know what they are, where they are, why they are here, and transcend. See, this is you see the stark contrast from, instead, you have to obey, you're limited, here are these laws and commandments, these things that you can't do, you have to worship God, and if you don't, you're going to burn in hell for eternity. The Carpocrateans are saying, no, you should have meaningful experiences and knowledge. You should live life and gain intelligence. And they're saying that eventually all souls will, it may take some souls longer than others, because it might take them lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, but eventually they will. Some souls will do it real fast. It depends how they spend their life. You know, some people can, to use modern terms, some people can just sit on their butts and watch Netflix all day. That's not going to do much. But instead, if you're out there living life, having meaningful experiences, understanding the world, understanding yourself, that's going to have a lot more effect on your, well, what we would say is mental evolution. But in terms of the Carpocrateans here, you can see what they believe is similar. So, and they continues, St. Irenaeus continues, and thus, if ungodly, unlawful, and forbidden actions are committed among them, I can no longer find ground for believing them to be such. And in their writings we read as follows: the interpretation which they give, declaring that Jesus spoke in a mystery to his disciples and apostles privately, that they requested and obtained permission to hand down the things thus taught to them to others who should be worthy and believing. We are saved indeed by means of faith and love, but all other things, while in their nature indifferent, are reckoned by the opinion of men, some good and some evil, therefore nothing really evil by nature. So what he's saying that the Carpocrateans claim is that Jesus Christ spoke in, basically that Jesus Christ had secret teachings that were passed down to those who were close to him and really understood his teachings. So that Jesus had secret teachings that he told to people in privately, and these secret teachings were passed down, and that the Carpocrateans had permission to be able to teach these secret teachings, is essentially what they're saying. Now that really happened, I mean, you know, it really doesn't matter. But let's turn real quick to the Fragments of a Faith Forgotten, and see if I want to see just real quick if they have something interesting to. So it says, so this is interesting, right? So talking about what the Carpocrateans believed, that you had to have these experiences. St. Irenaeus asserts that means that the soul has to pass through all experiences, both good and bad, until every experience has been learned. No one can be set free. And that some souls can do that in one lifetime. And therefore, the Carpocrateans must have indulged in the most unmentionable of crimes, because they wish to fulfill every single experience, both good and bad, to be able to transcend. Irenaeus, however, immediately afterwards adds that he doesn't believe that they actually do that, but that he's forced to deduce such a logical consequence from their books. It is, however, evident that the whole absurd conclusion is entirely due to the stupidity of the Bishop of Lyons, who, owing to his own inability to understand the most elementary facts of the doctrine of reincarnation, has started with entirely erroneous premises, although the matter was as clear as daylight to a beginner in Gnosticism. So what the writer of Fragments of a Faith Forgotten is saying, this is ridiculous and this is stupid. It didn't mean that they had to do everything both good and bad and commit terrible crimes. This comes from these bishops not understanding the most elementary facts about reincarnation and got it totally wrong. But the matter was clear as day to any beginner in Gnosticism. So what the writer in the Fragments of a Faith Forgotten's point is that what St. Irenaeus is saying and these other bishops are saying is due to their inability to understand philosophy, and that it's clear that that's not what it meant. It meant, you know, what we had been discussing. So what's really important to understand here. Okay, so if we take a look at what they're saying, the question is, So if the devil created the earth and the earth is hell, is that true? And is that something that we need to escape? So the Gnostics believed that the world was basically evil and that matter was evil and that we need to transcend the world of matter and escape matter. The Gnostics got a lot of things right. It's really great that they understood that, well, at least the Carpocratians, that we need to have meaningful experiences and knowledge. Some Gnostics didn't believe that. The Sethian Gnostics believed that, for example, sex was evil because it brought more bodies into this world and trapped more souls. So they were against sex. They were more of ascetics. And you can check out in my video, check out the playlist called The Testimony of Truth, which gives the tale of the Garden of Eden from the serpent's point of view and also talks about God imprisoning souls. Check out my video, Does God Imprison Souls? And the playlist of The Testimony of Truth for all that, talking about if you have kids, is it wrong because you're trapping souls, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, the Carpocratians weren't like the Sethians. They believed that you should have these experiences and, very importantly, knowledge of the self and knowledge of what you truly are. And so the Carpocratians and Gnosticism got a lot of things right. But one of the things that they got wrong is the idea that the material world is evil and needs to escape, that one needs to escape. And I see this over and over. This mistake is over and over and over again in people trying to reach enlightenment or a lot of New Age teachings or even occult teachings or Eastern religions. This idea that we have to escape the material world. The material world is bad. We got to get out. We got to get out. We got to get out. This is not true. The fact is that the devil, it's not in actuality. The devil doesn't exist. These are stories. These are metaphors. At least the devil as described in the Bible. That being doesn't exist, didn't create the earth. But we can think of the earth, because if you look at how terrible the earth is, it's in a hellish state. And we can say that it's in a kind of a satanic state because Satan really represents individualism and dominance and selfishness. And that's why the world is in such a shit state that it is right now, because everyone is being selfish and obsessed with dominating others. Look at all these ridiculous wars, threat of nuclear war, everyone just trying to dominate each other, other nations. My nation is better than your nation, etc., etc. Now, to be clear, there's nothing wrong with individualism, but when you have no concept of collectivism at all, that we are a unity, then you get down this dark path where everyone is out for themselves and fighting tooth and claw. So the fact is that it's not like the devil created this world and that this earth is actually a literal hell that has to be escaped. This world is in a very hellish state because of humanity's refusal to understand that we're a unity and being obsessed with dominance and control and power and money and greed. We can transform this world into a beautiful world, into a heaven. We can transform a hell into heaven by understanding what we truly are, what we are, where we are, why we're here, and understanding that we are a unity and we need to work together as a collective, as individuals who are expressive and diverse. So this is the important thing to understand, is that diversity and individualism can exist within a unity. We can be a united society of diverse individuals. That's what we want. We don't want a society of all individualism where everyone's out for themselves and there's no unity. Neither do we want a world that's just all about collectivism with no individuality whatsoever and everyone's a drone or like a hive mind or whatever. That's also not what we want. We want both. We want the aspects of being diverse individuals within a united society. And that means that these devilish attributes are not necessarily bad. And the Carpocratians are right that there really isn't a good thing as good or bad, that these are defined by people. What there is that just which leads us to a better world and that which leads us away from a better world. And qualities like individualism is not a bad quality. It's a good quality if it's done in a healthy way. Same thing with collectivism. Collectivism and unity is an excellent quality, but if it's not balanced with individuality, then that also drags us away from having more meaningful experiences and better experiences. We will have more of a satisfactory life when we don't deny these different aspects. We want both shadow and light synthesized together. We aren't just like light workers and all about serving others. We're both light and shadow workers who help others as well as work on ourselves. We actualize ourselves and help others to actualize. Because the better we actualize ourselves, the better capacity we'll have to help others actualize. So there's this dynamic of needing to have all these different aspects of life in that balanced and synthesized way to create a better world. So if you're just, one really needs to understand this. It's really important that these so-called satanic qualities, such as like individualism, etc., they aren't bad. They're only bad when they go completely and totally out of control and leave any sort of unity out of the picture. We want to be united as a diverse society. We want to be united in our diversity and create a collective and create a powerful, strong world where we are able to celebrate what makes us unique and have meaningful experiences together. Because that's half of what the world is about. So it's important to understand that this is in our hands. We are eternal beings, and thus we are gods, and thus our experience is up to us. This world isn't something to be escaped or transcended. This world is something for us to create and mold into whatever we so will. And that's why in the Gospel of Thomas, another banned book from the Bible, check out my playlist on that, Jesus says the kingdom of heaven is right here for those who have the eyes to see. Basically going, where is heaven? It's right here when you see it. Basically, we can make it so. Right now it's shit, but we can make it into something beautiful. Now, there's a lot more to this, such as there is a time when we'll be able to transcend the physical world and create our own domain. But I check out my other videos. Too much here. So important, very important to not get obsessed with escaping. That's not enlightenment. When we are just become obsessed with escaping, we're not doing what we are meant to do, which is transformers and creators. As divine beings, gods don't run away and escape. Gods create, gods transform. And we can transform this world from, everyone wants to escape so badly because the world is a shitty place. Well, guess what? Make the world better, and then you won't be obsessed with escaping because you'll be like, hey, you know what? This is a pretty great place. It's like playing a crappy video game. If you play a crappy video game, yeah, you're going to want to stop playing it. But if it's a great game, you're like, oh, this is great. I want to keep playing. And then you spend a long time playing the game. Same thing with the material world. The material world can be a shitty place that is shitty and people want to escape from it, or we can transform it. And if people weren't obsessed with escapism and rather obsessed with transformation, we could make that place much better quicker. And that's why a lot of New Age and occult stuff, or New Age, esoteric, Eastern religions. Now, not all of them. There are some that are positive and teach transformation. But the ones that are all about escaping is actually really negative, because that's going to lead to a shitty world. So it's about working on yourself and helping create a better place rather than meditating all day long so that you can reach nirvana and not reincarnate. If it's much better to be focused on understanding and actualizing yourself and helping others understand and actualize themselves and help creating a new world. So this world is something that we have the power to change, and we can do it. The Carpocratians were great. They got a lot right and were fantastically brilliant compared to mainstream Christianity, what would become mainstream Christianity. But it's important to remember to get away from that idea of, oh, this world is so terrible we have to escape from it. No, it's our clay to mold and shape as we will, and we want to create something brilliant and beautiful. Now, from the Carpocratians, we're going to see this figure of Marcellina arise, who's just absolutely incredible. I love Marcellina. She travels to Rome and tries to spread this message of Carpocratians, and she starts her own sect called the Marcellians, and it's awesome. And that's what we're going to be talking about next week. So check out my whole playlist on this. If you enjoy my work, please like and subscribe so that we can spread this information. A lot of people don't want this kind of information when I talk about it out there. So let's get this info out there. Let's create a better world. Also, if you do enjoy my work, if you ever felt like you've learned something and gotten something from it, consider supporting on Patreon. It does help out a lot. It's how I'm able to do what I do. We have weekly secret live streams. This secret live stream week's topic is the multiverse a gateway drug? Last week we talked about new research and life after death research. And the replays stay up so you can watch them anytime. You get access to our Discord server, the Citadel, and a lot more. It really helps. So consider supporting on Patreon. I want to give a shout out to those who do support on Patreon, especially philanthropist Zach, Renaissance Fairy, Cassidy, Michael, Angela, Maria, Top of the World, Ethan, DB, and Joel Swindler, and everyone else. And the link will pop up right over here. And another great way to support is by hitting the join button right below this video on YouTube.